I'm going to do a quick one, but it's a lot of great information. It's about storytelling for activism. And so I noticed some of you have your notes out. Definitely just be taking notes really quick, because I'm going to go through these, and it's a lot of powerful things I've learned over the past few years. And probably one of the biggest ones is collaboration, and that's how I've been working on Cowspiracy. It took around 8 years to actually make Cowspiracy. I've been vegan for 8 years, and I worked with different people, and you have to find someone who complements you and know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. And Keegan and I complement each other so well. He's a little bit more organized than I am. I'm a little more ethereal and like more storytelling, and that's why upstairs he's more of the technical aspect of it. So that's a huge one, because I started Cowspiracy about 3 or 4 times, and it was not until I met that perfect person, which was Keegan, that it could happen. And also, first of all, just thank you so much for all being here. It's going to be a super powerful day. It wasn't going to be 2 days. We crunched it into one, and again, it's the first one ever, so thank you. So I'm just going to get right into it. So with storytelling, effective storytelling, the first example I have, does anyone know about Mark DeVries of Speciesism? You know that viral video, the video that went viral where he just goes, it's a very simple one where he has a drone, and well, we do something similar in What the Health, and that got viral, and that's kind of something I'm going to expand on of why that went viral. Study things that, it's not just long storytelling, an hour and a half, because most things that are about storytelling are now done in 55 seconds, and not only that, they should be done in 55 seconds, if not 30 seconds. And that was so powerful because he had many elements in it. You have a victim perpetrator, you have kind of the good and the bad, you have someone doing something adventurous, you have doing something almost maybe not illegal, but it's exciting, and these are all elements that you want to have in storytelling. That's a perfect example. So with that being said, become a student of documentaries and film, and write this down. It's helped me a lot. It's called Masterclass. Masterclass, one word. This is actually just recently too. And what it is, it's an online program of the most talented people. Werner Herzog does one on filmmaking, and it's 23 different chapters, each one only about 5 minutes long, all on filmmaking. And you could take this one class and not have to do much more other than practice. And then on storytelling, it's James Patterson, and I'm sure many of you probably know him. I don't read any of his books, but he's the #1 best-selling author. He has more best-selling books by far than anyone in the history of this planet, and he does a 23-part on storytelling. So a lot of the things that make an important, impactful story, because documentaries are storytelling. Sure, you're doing something, but before we did Cowspiracy, we definitely have an outline, and that's what a lot of people don't realize is there's definitely a whole outline that goes in. So you have a narrative before it happens, you have a story arc, and things that even before you start turning on the camera, so you have some focus. It's not just shoot the camera and go, and that's really important, because once you start editing, you have to have as little of actual footage as possible, because and we pride ourselves on that. Keegan and I, is doing the most efficient filmmaking, and to get to know what right when you see something, okay, that's going to be in the film. And I'm kind of jumping around here. I think I talked about this later. One of the best hints I have for filmmaking is to do wedding videos, and you can do wedding videos for free, and that's how I started. I just would go, I'd show up at a place in San Diego where I knew someone was going to have a film, and said, do you mind if I just shoot you guys? I don't even know these people. And they said, absolutely. And so I'd go in the morning and they'd meet who it was, go to the bride and the groom, see their whole setup, and you instantly get a feel for, especially documentaries, is not only the subject, and you can really see this in the chicken where it killed the duck. It's not only the subject, you have to pay attention on what's behind there. So in that whole section, you can see it happen like 4 times. Like, I'm looking at something, okay, there's what everyone's looking at, but what about that girl in the back? What's her? So you have the focus on, and then you zoom in on someone else. So at weddings, that happens all the time. Where's the bride and groom, but where's the parents? And it's perfect, and you have to be spot on. And then in the editing room, how to create a story with a wedding. It's a story, and it's a story arc if you do it well, and it's the same thing. So that's like such a great tip that's better than any film. I took some classes. Only classes I ever took was actually San Francisco Community College. Other than that, it's just practice. And again, I just have to go through this really quick, but so become a student of documentaries. And I mentioned before, a victim perpetrator. And we mentioned this in Cowspiracy of what these health organizations, we're doing What the Health, and the exact same story is What the Health and Cowspiracy. It's incredible, the parallels. But people like the victim perpetrator, the Batman, and the Joker. But when you find that in a story, it's not just telling people a story, it's selling a story. It's going deeper than the story. It's finding who the victim perpetrator is, but then who is the one that you might not have thought of. Say, people think Animal Ag is the enemy, or not necessarily enemy, but people that we're gonna have to deal with, or the government. Not many people thought that. What about these environmental organizations? And that was the whole twist of Cowspiracy, and that was what inspired me to make Cowspiracy more than any of even the facts, because someone did meet the truth, which was already done. The facts were out there. But when I went vegan, I was so passionate. I tried, in the film I said months, it was 8 years. I was relentlessly trying to talk to Greenpeace and Sierra Club, and that motivation pissed me off so much. It was them, because they're the ones that we look up to. It's not the animal agriculture industry. It's not even the government. Those are the groups. So, but then that's what makes an interesting twist. Find out who the players are, and then go deep into that. And that can happen in any storytelling, and that's a really powerful one. And we do the same thing with What the Health. A new movie we're doing is Seaspiracy, and we incorporate these elements. Another one, as I mentioned, started with Mark DeVries. Show the adventure and emotion story behind the story. So the story behind the story, that's why I feel Cowspiracy works and these new films we're producing. It's not only the story, but it's the story behind the story. And this happens so much in the best documentary films. The Michael Moore's, anyone seen On the Wire? Anyway, the countless of the best documentaries, even Inconvenient Truth. It's the story of the story, and then you can take it one further back. What is the story? Because that could be the adventure all along. So when say you have a project, whatever you're gonna do, start filming yourself coming up with that project, because nowadays people want to learn how to do these things, and it turned out your final project might not be that powerful, but the leading up to it of how you made it, you might have gone through a transformation, what usually happens during filmmaking, which I wish we would have done this for Cowspiracy, because everything you see in there is really true. I saw Howard Lyman right there. He says, surprised to see you still. He's like, you should have a bulletproof vest on. I'm like, oh, thanks. But it was a roller coaster making that, but that's another one, is film yourself documenting, because people want to learn, and with our new film, Seaspiracy, another one's called Wrath the Amazon. More than the film itself is they're going to do a YouTube channel on them making this film. Raft the Amazon is a group of young, in their young 20s, they're building a raft and floating down the entire Amazon. And that's going to be an end story of her story, the Amazon, but it's all about the story of these 5, very young people living on a raft, It's going to power through these. Another one. Recreate if need be. So again, Cowspiracy, people are like, oh, you've been vegan for what, like 2 days? Because I saw Cowspiracy 2 days ago. And the first part is a little bit of a recreation. In every documentary you see that. It's not like, oh wow, all of a sudden, very rarely in documentaries that happens. So the first part is a little bit of a recreation of what did happen to me, but it was 8 years ago. I was relentlessly reaching out to these organizations. And it's okay to do that. We do that with this film and other films, because right when you get that light in your head, people want to see that. So sometimes you have to recreate that, and it's okay to do that, especially being an activist. A lot of times with like Seaspiracy, does anyone know the Friendly Activist? He's the one doing Seaspiracy, and it's going phenomenally well. If anyone's seen The Cove, this is like The Cove everywhere around the world. And he's putting himself out there, and the whole thing, say to him is show his emotion. He's very emotional, but also recreate some things that led him to this. And he's like, I don't know if that feels authentic. I'm like, one, it's not about you. With these things, it's get your ego out of the way, if anything, his ego is telling him, I don't want to do these things, I don't want to be and I never wanted to be in Cowspiracy. And it's kind of an ironic thing, is taking yourself out of it, where this has nothing to do with me, I have to do this, and it's for the higher good. So recreating things, sometimes actually, showing those emotions that maybe you had 2 days ago. And Mark, I'm pretty sure did this in Speciesism, that works really well. If you didn't capture it, it's okay to do. In Cowspiracy, the only part we did that as a beginning, like the duck slaughter, that was, fortunately, I was shaken up, but Keegan said, stop right here. And I'm really glad he did, so that was all legit. But if we didn't do that, you know, you have to put yourself in that place of where it is. And people want to see your emotion. They want to see that human side of you, and to show who your authentic self is. And that's a big part of storytelling too. Is what we do, especially in activism filmmaking, is go deeper. What's the rest of the story other than the obvious story? Keep digging, keep digging, keep digging. And an example of this is, you know, when people say, especially in the animal rights community, is when we're talking to people, say carnivores, there's a disconnect. There's literally a black spot from here to there. And for an example, foodies have this thing called local food. Okay, local food sounds good. How far do you want to take this local food? You want to have your own, well, you know, it's locally, this cow is locally grown here, this pig. Okay, but how about so local, now you have it in your own home. Now it's how about so local, you name that because it's personal to you and that's as local as it gets, and you live with this pig for 2 months. Then it becomes, you know, going deeper behind the story of, oh, local's good. Taking it one step further, and this happens in a lot, like with Cowspiracy, we go one step further, one step further, one step further. The Alan Savory myth, it's a complete scam, but people and we didn't go into it as much as we wanted into that film, but you take that, keep on taking it further, then you see it's a complete falls apart, but people don't want to go there. So take it that one step further, and I feel that's what's, especially with animal rights and people more than anyone, whether that's what we've done. You know, we've taken that last block from us and we've released it, and that's why it's so liberating to be vegan, because you feel that, you know, you're a complete person. You know, from a child, you're living your authentic self from your child, who you are, what you do as an 8-year-old you're doing now. And this goes for storytelling. So just keep on digging deeper, deeper, deeper in places you don't see, and then film that. People want to see that. And as you can see, a big thing that we do is analogies. That's something that, and again, if you're not good at analogies, find someone who is. That's kind of like my specialty, and Keegan has his, and we complement. I love analogies, and you see in Cowspiracy, you'll see in What the Health. You know, I can name, there's so many analogies. Have analogies when you're sharing information, because when you say 500 to 662 gallons of water, what is that? It's 2 months of showering. Okay, now I know that. And that goes, you see the entire Cowspiracy is all, it's a number and it's a comparison you can actually grasp onto. And I feel that was a really powerful thing that was successful for Cowspiracy. Animations is always good. Anything to break it up, to break up talking heads, interviews, animations. We're not animators, so we find someone who is. You find someone, he actually wasn't a vegan then, he is now. But our community is so strong that you can find these people, you know, you can find these. You go to meetup groups, hey, I'm doing this idea. Oh, I do this, I'm the director, I'm an editor. And by the way, editing is the hardest thing to find. So if anyone, the biggest tip is I tell people to practice editing. If you know how to edit, just do little YouTube videos, because AUM Films is looking for editors. So if any of you are editors, that's our, you know, people say, I want to volunteer. Do you know how to edit? Because that's what we're looking for. And then comparisons. Another thing is, some of these I'll mention before, but come from a different perspective. Say you're doing something about animals, and it's literally about animals. Have it come from the perspective of a cow, a cow's view or a child's view. And what we did with Cowspiracy, we came from a carnivore view. I am looking, which I did, 8 years ago, kind of right before I went vegan. I'm looking for a way to justify to eat animals, to eat animal flesh and secretions. I'm looking for a way. And so everyone can relate to this story because I never say, in all of Cowspiracy, I don't say one thing of what someone can do. They're just following my story of someone who's trying to ethically eat meat and dairy. And so that's so huge. And then also being an activist in general, people will say, what's the most powerful thing you can say to someone you're talking to? I'm knocking on the door and nothing's happening. Ask them what they're interested into. Most people, and that's the thing with this movement, it's the only movement, every other movement, civil rights, women's rights, on and on, all these other movements, they have one thing mostly for it, ethics. Animal rights has ethics, health, and the environment. It has all three working for it. And that's why it's so happening so fast, because you can't stop this. And so ask them, what are they interested into, and talk to them. And if they're interested in health, then you can go from that angle. And when you're doing a film or a story, see who your audience is. Are they kids? Come from a kid's point of view. And when you do a test screening, have kids watch it. We do test screenings of What the Health. We don't tell any of you guys, we've already done test screenings, because it's all people that we want to, it's not preaching to the choir. So that's a big thing, is getting out of your bubble, reaching out, even do weird things like, I go to barbecues with my friends, and most of my friends aren't even vegetarian. I do things that I wouldn't have done 8 years ago. I put myself in uncomfortable positions where a lot of people, it's hard to be around, say, a barbecue or Thanksgiving dinner. But you do this and you just be present, and you're aware of things that go on, and you get a different perspective. And I think that's a big thing with our community, getting out of the bubble. Put yourself in these positions, because we're not doing anything to help by staying in that bubble. Get yourself out into the mass people. Those are where the transformation happens. And that was a big thing with storytelling. And a huge one is start your own YouTube channel, Snapchat. And again, if you don't feel comfortable, like again, I wasn't going to do it because Cowspiracy was in it, but finally, we just decided it was fine for me to be in it. But if you don't feel comfortable being in the film you're in, or a YouTube channel, whatever, find someone that is smart, intelligent, or funny, or quirky, or a kid, or anything that you meet on the street, and you're like, you have a story to tell. And then you go to your meetup groups. If you can know nothing about film, and so go out so you don't have to do everything. Find that perfect character that does these things for you, and that perfect editor. And so again, collaboration is the key to all this. And that's a really important one. And then once you have that, is start a YouTube channel, Snapchat, start developing a following. And that helps a lot. And then another one is to implement comedy and different emotions in the film. As you see, like Cowspiracy is a roller coaster. And sometimes you see these films are just, it's either super sad, and if it can be done well, whether it's fiction or documentaries, but to have that flow, but then also not a flow where it's up and down. This follows good with this. Like right after that duck slaughter, it was so heavy that's when we do the chicken rescue, which really did happen, but it works so well because you snap someone out of it, and those shock elements. And what you see too is Keegan will be talking about this, and his is too bad we don't have different times, but what we purposely did in Cowspiracy is the lighting of the film on post-production, it gets literally darker and darker and darker. And then, and right at that time where the duck slaughter is, and it's kind of subliminal, then it becomes lighter, and literally lighter in the post-production. And then those are little elements that you can play with. Filmmaking is the biggest composition, because you're like you're not only doing music, you're a music composer, you're putting videos together, and it's like someone throwing a bunch of notes at you, a bunch of clips, and then you have to worry about color and timing and everything. And that's why practice on YouTube channel or wedding videos, just can't say enough. Keegan dropped out of school at 13 years old. He is the smartest guy, hands down the smartest guy I know. And he is the best filmmaker I know, and the most technical filmmaker I know. And he's never taken one time. He says he went to University of YouTube. And so, the big thing is that just being curious. And I know if I said this, what's so important is, on that note, study people who are successful YouTubers. Look at the, even if you don't like the people, like Freely, the banana girl, she's great because she's doing, whether you like her or not, she's doing, a lot of things. She knows how to create attention, clickbait stuff. And that's the thing, is clickbait things, how to draw attention yourself of why I like to eat cows, and you're a vegan, and like someone will click on it like, what? Or why cows is help saving water. And then they click on it and it's something completely obvious. That's a huge thing, is clickbait stuff. And then editing, can't emphasize enough. Look at trailers. What Keegan does is he's a trailer fanatic, so he'll go on a website and it's called, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like trailers.com, and he'll just study trailers and how to do trailers, because trailers are 1.5 minute stories. And I feel, he's a big part of our trailers. We work really well editing. He does a little more of the trailer side of it. He loves editing, but that's what YouTube channels are. They're 2-minute clips, and how can you create the most impact in only 1 or 2 minutes? So that's a good thing to do. And again, study good vloggers. And then again, one more, so study successful documentaries, Michael Moore, whether you like him or not, Gasland, and Blackfish. So, and then when you're watching it, take notes. Why did Gasland make it? What is one of the biggest things that you can remember? The takeaway from that is there's fire coming out of the water, and he's on an adventure from one side, from his home, and he's on an adventure. And we definitely incorporate that into Cowspiracy. You see, like, I'm on an adventure, on a journey with Super Blue in my car, and it's true, but it's an adventure. It's almost, edgy, illegal. You have these perfect elements, but then he got that one, and I've heard, whether it's even real or not, the fire coming out of it, or how it's done. But those little things, if you can have that one magical moment, look for that. And if you can't, look for it some way. It might be an emotional thing or someone you interview. And Blackfish, the thing that I remember from Blackfish is the mother killer whale who's crying for a baby, who's just screaming at that. That was just like so powerful. And it's like, after you see that, it's like, And so dig for those when you're making a story, or if you see one of these, turn that into a story. If you see something that goes viral, turn that into it. Find that person, say, I just saw this. I want to make this into a 15-minute or even a 55-minute documentary. So look for viral videos that went 1.5 minutes and make a bigger story out of it. If you're looking for material, and they happen every day. And that's how we had Seaspiracy. We found Seaspiracy. Allie did a 15-minute thing called Seaspiracy. Like, this guy crushes it. Flew him out here from London. We're like, we want to do a full-length feature film with Seaspiracy. And we're doing Wrath the Amazon, same thing. So you do one of these small ones. AUM Films, we're starting to produce more. So if you have something, please send it to us as well. Real quick with animal rights, humanize animals or the Amazon. Like, we're doing a film on the Amazon, we're humanizing her as an actual character. And of course, with animals, it's so easy to do. Literally, you can have them even like animations do, Charlotte's Web and all these. Literally, they're humans. Humanizing animals is such a powerful thing to do. And we're speaking from the animal rights side. Sorry, I already said that. I'm trying to go real quick too, so if you have any questions. Share your personal transformation, and everyone has a story. Find your story. And if you don't have a story, find someone else's story. Just being vegan is not being an activist. Being an activist is being active. You have to put yourself out there. You can be home sitting potato chips and popcorn all day, or eating raw or whatever. Put yourself out there. Again, Keegan and I, putting ourselves out there is not comfortable. I've never spoken in front of anyone. The first time we did our premieres, the first time I was sitting behind Keegan because he's a musician. I'm like, I can't even talk. This is not natural for me. This is not natural whatsoever. I'm extremely shy. But it's such a passionate thing for me, is put yourself out, and you'll be amazed at what you can do, and what only 1 or 2 people can do. So get yourself, find a community, even if it's 1 or 2 people, find a story. There's so many stories out there where Keegan and I are overwhelmed if we had more time, and that's what we're trying to do now. But look for those viral videos, whether it's Keegan's viral video that he did, what's the donkey and the goat? Anyone see that from Animal Place? That's I think someone finally turned that into a 30-minute story, but there's so many out there. And collaborate. Keep it short. If you think your film is an hour and a half, it's probably a half-hour film, or it's a 50-minute film. If you think it's 4 hours like we did, it was going to be a 10-part series. We thought Cowspiracy is a 10-part series. It's an hour-and-a-half film. It's so important that whatever you think it is, shorten it. People have short attention spans and then never look back. The first edit of Cowspiracy was another 40 minutes to a little over 2 hours, and I can't watch it, those 40 minutes, because if I watch it, I cringe that we took it out. There's that much. Eventually, we're going to have a director's cut, because it is so hard, that last 30 minutes, but you have to do it. And to this day, I haven't even looked at the footage, because you're just like, I can't believe we're taking this out. But you have to do it. And then fundraising campaigns, you all know we have very successful. We did this on our own on a bare budget. Again, if you're doing something in this realm, we have so many requests on our end to support projects that it's tough for us to. But fundraising projects, how do you do that? What Keegan and I did, we've never done one before. We studied the top 10, top 20 films of all time that got fundraised. That's all we did. We studied them. We didn't even talk to them. We saw exactly what they did, the time they put out the videos, how they did their newsletters. Then we sign up for a successful one, give them $10 just so we can sign up for their newsletter, just to learn from them, see how they do it. And that's a huge thing of how to do a successful fundraising campaign, see what other people did. And then again, getting yourself out of the bubble, collaborating with other people. And I already mentioned the new projects, Cowspiracy and Raft the Amazon, and What the Health is going to be coming out at the very end of January, at the beginning of February, and it's looking super powerful, and we're really, really, really excited. Cowspiracy is going to come out probably a whole nother year. That's going to be incredible, but it's going to be one of those, it's going to be a YouTube channel that you can follow while he's editing. He's doing his YouTube channel right now, but he's going to release it after he's filming because he's undercover right now. He's doing really ballsy stuff. And then as he's editing it, so you can be able to follow his whole journey. And Raft the Amazon's the same way. So just stay tuned. We're going to be announcing those. And with that, I have like 5 minutes for questions. So thank you so far. You got some good stuff out of it.